Welcome to the latest edition of CCL Player Shoutout, brought to you by the Varsity Voices Media Network. I'm Dan Frevaletti, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Joe Frevaletti. Today on the podcast, we welcome Trae Taylor, quarterback of the Carmel Coursers. The future Nebraska Cornhusker is entering his junior year at Carmel and is already one of the most highly rated quarterbacks in the country. Trae, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
If you are looking to buy or sell a home, contact RE/MAX Realtor and Circle of Legends recipient Christopher Cobb. Let Chris's extensive negotiating experience work to guide you on all of your real estate buying and selling needs. Contact Christopher now to discuss the right strategy for your personalized real estate buying and selling plan. His number is 630-420-0070, or you can visit his website at christophercobb.com. You know, I feel like, Trae, that you're one of those guys whose name we've heard forever. Like, it feels like you've been there for a long time. I had to check twice to see that you were only entering your junior year. You've started since your freshman year, so you're considered a true vet when it comes to high school football. Do you feel like that? Like you're a seasoned vet, or is every season still feel pretty exciting and fresh?
Yeah, I would say every season is still exciting and fresh. We get new players every year, new teams, so everything changes. Nothing's ever the same, so that's good, and it's always a fresh start. So I would say that I always have fun restarting the season.
So tell us, Trae, how did you get started playing football? And I'd like to know what kind of led you to the quarterback position. Have you always played that since you started football, or is it something that's kind of evolved over the years?
I wouldn't. So I originally started off playing receiver, like young. But some stuff happened with our quarterback after like his first time ever getting hit. He kind of just quit football, and we needed a quarterback. So that's how I ended up playing quarterback, and just kind of took off with it from there.
Trae, we mentioned that you are a seasoned vet, and what do you feel like your role is? You talk about new players being added every year, and of course, high school is like that. You're going to lose all those seniors and gain the underclassmen to join the varsity team. But what do you feel like your role is for the young guys playing varsity for the first time?
Just being a leader, being a good role model, showing them what you should do, you shouldn't do, not only on the field but also in the classroom. We football players kind of have this. We walk around. We might not be doing anything wrong, but because we're football players, we're always going to get viewed as in the worst way possible. And that's just how it is, unfortunately. So just making sure that everybody's doing the right thing and being a role model for them.
That's good.
So the recruiting process, I know, Trae, especially for someone like you, is very intense, I would imagine. There's a lot of schools that you're talking to or are talking to you, and you decided on Nebraska, which I think is a great choice for you, Trae. How good is it to have kind of that commitment out of the way so you can now kind of focus on next 2 seasons of your high school career?
I would say it's great. I mean, a lot of people don't realize it, get to experience it, or anything. So you always want to take advantage of that as far as the recruiting process. But what people also don't realize, like behind the scenes, like you see me at all the camps, you see me at all the colleges, but I'm not with my guys. I'm not with my team. So I'm not getting the chemistry. So this is really my first summer with my receivers that, we're out damn near every day just working on something. And sometimes it doesn't even have to include a ball. But so it's a great feeling just to, have it done, knowing where I want to go, and can't wait to get there, obviously, but I still have 2 years of high school, and I feel like this off season is my first off season in high school that I've got to be with my guys. So I think that's going to be a huge thing you guys will see this year.
Yeah, that's a great point. And talking about your team a little bit, we have a term on the Varsity Voices that we use for really good teams that didn't make the playoffs, but were absolutely playoff caliber. We call it being CCL'd. which means the schedule is so difficult that good teams don't get in because of the tough, close losses in the conference. And Carmel, you guys may be the best example of this. How do you use that tough schedule and that tough season last year as motivation?
You know what? I'm not even going to say we were CCL. Hey, I think we were not a good team last year. I think our chemistry wasn't where it needed to be. I feel like leadership-wise, we weren't where we needed to be. Physicality-wise, just overall, all across the board, we weren't where we need to be able to compete, knowing the competition we play. And like that's to me saying, okay, yeah, we're in a hard, division. We play hard teams, but we know that going into the year, we know what we're walking into. We know what we need to bring to the table, and for us not to bring it to the table, that's on us. And so I feel like for us, like we just hit the weight room different. We hit conditioning different. Like we push kids, and I think our biggest goal this year was to weed out the weak. Like we've had kids quit on the spot, and obviously we don't want that to happen, but um, we're not doing the losing stuff again, and that's how the players have this approach and coaches too. Like we're not doing that again. So I think this year you're gonna see you know that we're coming a little different this year.
So I love that answer, Trey. I really do, because it's really taken a hard look at yourself, your program, your team, and saying, what do we need to do? What do I need to do in order to get us to a level that I expect us to be at? So, again, I love that answer. So, looking at it that way, what are some of the things? What are some of the details that, as a program, as a team, as an individual, that you're doing this year that's going to put you into a better spot come this season?
It's little stuff like that we didn't really focus on last year, and it goes from discipline. I'll go from little to big. Like, hey, every time we walk into the weight room, we better have a Carmel T-shirt on, some shorts, and no open-toed shoes. If you come in with a plain white tee on, you're getting kicked out. You got punishment. Like, so it's little stuff like that where I say discipline is a lot different, and it's not the coaches holding us accountable; it's the players. Um, Stuff from, hey, we're not, yeah, we're as a team with coaches there and everything. We're doing stuff throughout the week, but in the weekends we're getting together. We're doing extra work. We're out there, in the mornings, Saturdays and Sundays. We're as a team too, not just groups as a team. Um, so like it's just not only the extra stuff we're doing, but the stuff that we need to do. We're making sure that every little thing is done to 100%.
So, considering all of that, and those are all really good points, Trey, what are your expectations for this year as far as your team is concerned, as far as yourself is concerned? What are some of those goals or objectives that you want to reach this year?
So I know offensively, our team goals is to average over 32 points a game, to have less than 8 turnovers in total this whole season. So whether it's fumble, whether it's a pick, whether it's anything like that. I'm sorry, less than 7 of those. I know that we want to have 0 conference losses, and I know that as far as receiving core and just the passing core, we want to throw for over 4,500 yards.
Those are lofty and really good goals. It's great to have high goals, and if you guys achieve those, you definitely will be on the way to reaching some of the bigger program goals. You mentioned not losing a game in conference. The white division in the CCL is shaping up again to be really tough. It's kind of one of our favorite divisions to watch. We love the competition and the teams in that division. And it's also kind of a loaded quarterback division. You've got yourself and Israel Abrams and Fenwick and those guys are all coming back. And I wonder if you guys see each other in the summer or in the off season, if you're friendly, or do you ignore them? Are you in full competitor mode when you're in the same space?
We're never really in the same space.
Yeah.
I mean, I I wouldn't even say like recruiting wise, like it. We run into each other here and there, maybe at a tournament, some little, but I wouldn't say we're ever in the same space. Recruiting wise, obviously, I'm not doing trips. I'm committed, so I'm done with all that. I know that some of those other guys are still doing some of that stuff, but um, like I'm completely done. So if I mean they're not gonna see me at Nebraska, obviously, and then they could see me at maybe a tournament, or I could see them at a tournament or something like that. So I wouldn't really say that I would see them in the off season.
So tell me, like Dan just mentioned, Trae, there's a lot of good quarterbacks in the Chicago Catholic League in your division as well within the Chicago Catholic League, and a ton of talent there too. What's something most people don't see behind the scenes when it comes to being a quarterback at this level?
It's a team effort, like that, and that's really all I can say about it. Is there's me and I could be on one page, receiver could be on a different page, line could be on a different page, and the whole play just looks terrible. Or me and the receivers could be on the same page, line could be on a different page, play looks terrible. Everybody needs to be in sync, and that's the behind the scenes thing of like I'd say people don't see like I could overthrow a ball. It looks like the ball was just overthrown, but there's so much other stuff into it. Hey, maybe my footwork was too fast, maybe my footwork was too slow, maybe there's stuff people don't see behind that I feel like it gets aggravating because then you hear it talk about it and it's like, well, you don't know this, you don't know that, and it just kind of it makes you want to perfect it even more.
So, as you know, Trae, the Chicago Catholic League is one of the toughest high school football conferences in the country, and I don't think anybody would disagree with that. What's it like competing in that type of environment week in and week out?
I would say I feel comfortable. I mean, at the end of the day, like some of those kids I'll see in college, some of those kids I could see down the road even later. Um, it's just getting us ready for the next level. So I feel comfortable. I feel like the game is slowing down even more and more after every year. So, that's always a positive thing.
Trey, tell us about some of your teammates and who we should be looking for. That's going to be a big factor for you guys this year. Maybe offensively, and if you have any guys on defense that we should look out for as well.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. If I were to say if I were to say 2 to 3 kids right now for you guys on offense, like I'd be lying to you guys. I generally think that we have one of the best well-oiled offenses in the state. I don't think anybody has a better receiving core than us this year. I mean, we have Kyron Hart, Kai Owens, Greg Bess Henning, Eli Jackson, like um, who else? Noah Turner, Jameer Miles, like, and then we have Michael Pierre and Jaquel Edmonds out the backfield. Like, if you can name a more complete offensive skill position, Joseph Akalanu at tight end, you guys haven't even really got to see him yet. If you guys can name a more complete offensive, just all across the board athletes than we got, then I mean, you guys really can do your research, but I generally don't think, obviously some kids here and there, some teams might have a kid here and there. I think overall we got the best offensive core, that you can even find. And then up front, you guys, Jalen Schrouder, Trey Foster, those are the two big names. But we got young kids right now that are coming through that nobody's even paying attention to right now. So I'm not gonna sit here and say one kid, two kid, because that's not what it's gonna be this year. Everybody's gonna be dominant.
All right, good. I like that. I like that, Trae. We had the pleasure of interviewing your head coach, Coach McKee, a month or so ago, and really enjoyed the interview with him. And he had a lot of good things to say about you as well as your teammates, like you just mentioned. Tell me one or two things that you take from Coach McKee and his guidance.
I would just say the way he approaches like a player. And like that his leadership role. Like I would say the biggest thing I've learned is I used to be like it's so football 24/7. Whenever I'm with the guys, it's got to be football. Like with Coach McKee, you come to realize like nah, you're not you got to earn the respect off the field too. Like with Coach McKee, it's like I really respect Coach McKee outside of football. Like he's someone I really look up to. If you ever need anything like that, like Coach McKee will be there for you. So I feel like just his leadership role and how he approaches like my teammates and seeing how he can, kind of talk to them and talk them through stuff. Because obviously he's not on the field with us, so I need to take how he talks to them and apply it to myself because he gets the best responses out of the boys because he just knows how to talk to players. And I feel like I've done a really good job on trying to imitate that.
Building on that podcast that we did with Coach McKee, one of the things he said, and I found it interesting, and I really appreciate your honesty about you wouldn't even say you were CCL. You would say the whole thing wrapped up into one wasn't good enough. But we were surprised last year, and when at the loss to Lake Forest, we had real high expectations like you guys. Coach McKee said, yeah, that has become a really nice and good rivalry on the field, not only on the player side, but also with the coaching staff, because there's ex-Chicago Bears, up and down the line on the coaching staff. How do you feel about that rivalry?
I mean, you could say the same thing about Montini too. Like Montini, I know hates us. We hate Montini. That's how it is. Like, so I feel like it's just another game. Um, Lake Forest is Lake Forest. Carmel Catholic is Carmel Catholic. Yeah, we might, have our beef, but it's whatever to me. It doesn't affect me. Like, if we do what we're supposed to do, we should win, and that's not what we did last year, and that's just not. Like I said, it wasn't good enough.
So every game is important, Trae. We know that. Even from the first two games of the year, which are essentially out of conference, to your conference schedule. But are there any particular games that you might have circled on your calendar this season?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say I have, shoot, I would say I have Montini, Loyola. I'd say I have Montini, Loyola, Fenwick, um, DePaul, St. Lawrence, and Lake Forest.
So all of them. What you're telling me is you got them all circled, Trae. That's all right. I like that. Yeah.
Trae, you're committed to Nebraska. We talked about that a little bit, and I'm really interested. Great program, storied tradition. Outside of those things, what drew you to Nebraska?
A lot of it was Coach Rule. I mean, Coach Rule is a lot like my head coach right now, Coach McKee. Um, just a great person, even better coach. Um, Not only that, Coach Thomas, the quarterback coach, he, he was at the highest level. He coached Matt Ryan to a Super Bowl. Um, and then Coach Holgerson, I mean, you can't deny what his offenses have looked like.
Right.
And his offensive play calling. You saw it when he was at West Virginia. You saw it when he was at Houston. You saw it towards the end of last year when he finally came in. So, you can't deny what he's done. And it's the greatest. It's probably, I feel like, for me and the player I am and who I am, I feel like it's the greatest situation for me as a football player, as a quarterback, to not only get better, but just surround myself around good people and also have a great chance at winning.
So tell me, is there any particular quarterback at the NFL or college level even that you like to watch, or maybe you model your game after?
At the NFL level, I'd say I love to watch C.J. Stroud, Jaden Daniels, and Aaron Rodgers. I feel like those are great ones for me to watch. I really like them. I would say at the college level, last year I watched a lot of, obviously, Dylan. I watched a lot of Nussmeier last year. I watched a lot of. I'm a huge fan of DJ Lagway. I just like him. I really like the way he plays. Um, but I wouldn't say I try and model my game after anybody in college right now. Um, but yeah, I mean, Dylan, Nuss, DJ, those would probably be the three big ones. Cam Warren would be the four big ones that I watched last year.
You mentioned that Coach McKee, one of the things that he stresses to you guys is to make sure that you are not doing or thinking football 24/7. And I think that's probably really healthy and good for you. What do you like to do to get away from football?
Hang out with friends, play some video games, nothing too crazy, just kind of relax. If I'm being honest, like, yeah, I like to go out, but if I could, you know, get a really good night's of rest and good night of sleep, like, that would feel a lot more better on my body, knowing that the next day I'm probably hitting it pretty hard.
So tell us, Trae, what's something people might not know about you off the field?
Off the field, I would say, I don't know. I mean, people don't really know that shoot, I love the golf. That's like kind of that's one of my golf and
Nice.
basketball, my two really big getaways, I'd say. And just really just chilling, hanging out. What I've really started doing, I've started playing some beach volleyball.
Oh, So
I'm
you
not gonna
said
lie to you, that's a workout. I don't know why I started doing that, but that's a workout.
yeah. So are you? Somebody else that we've interviewed said golf as well. Who was that?
That
Dan?
was quarterback.
Stephen Armbruster. So I asked him if he was any good. So I'll ask you the same thing. Are you any good at golf, Trae?
No, I'm terrible. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, that answer doesn't surprise me. Yeah,
I will say this though. I started about a year ago, to be honest. I started like last year was my first year really going on the courses. I have had no training, nothing like that. And I really just got like my first like kind of tips a couple weeks ago, and I was hitting my 9-iron like 180, like 7-iron 215. Like I got some tips. Like I was smoking the ball. So I'm ready to get on. I'm gonna get on the course this weekend and see how I do.
All right. Well, we're probably not going to play with you then, Trae.
Yeah.
If you're hitting your ball, your 9-iron 180.
You'll be waiting for us for sure.
Yeah. Right.
I was surprised too because I'm used to seeing my 9-iron go 9 feet.
Right. Trae, when you guys outside of golf and you're done with practice now for the day, I ask everybody this: where do you guys like to go and grab a bite to eat around the school? What are the favorite spots for you guys?
Around the school, so like I'm a big fan. I like Dairy Dreams burgers, but like after games they tend not to be open because it's a little later.
Sure.
Cane's is a huge spot.
Cane's is popular.
Yeah, Cane's is a huge spot, and then like McDonald's never fails. It's always a good. There's one literally right around the corner. Like it's always a good one, but for some reason, after some games too, like I'm not very. Like I'll eat, but I'm not gonna throw down a huge meal.
So, last question for you, Trae, and finish this sentence for me. Carmel football this season is going to be what?
Winners.
That's
all right.
That's well said. Short and sweet.
Simple to the point. I like it.
Yeah. That's the goal. Well, Trae, we want to thank you for coming on the podcast. We appreciate your time. As always, we wish you good luck and good health. Go enjoy yourself, enjoy your evening, and have a great week of practice. And we look forward to watching it this year.
Will do. Thank you very much for having me on.
Anytime. So as we wrap up this edition of the CCL Player Shoutout, we would like to thank Trae Taylor of Carmel Catholic for joining us. We want to thank our listeners for joining us and reminding everyone to like, follow, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And follow us and send a comment on any of the major social media networks. Thanks again for listening and watching the Varsity Voices, and we will talk to you soon.